second session of the ICC Sustainability Conclave 2021. We have a panel here of CEO Speaks Indian Perspective, and the chair is Sri Ravi Goenka, President ICC and CMD Lakshmi Organics Industries Limited, and co-chair is Mr. Ravi Kapoor, Chairman Sustainability Committee ICC and MD Buyback Color India. Over to you, Mr. Ravi Goenka and Mr. Ravi Kapoor, to conduct and introduce the panel members and take the discussion forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kumaresh ji, and a very good morning to all ladies and gentlemen. We have a very august gathering over here of the CEOs and the decision makers of the leading chemical companies in India. And in line with the message of our Prime Minister, very inspirational message where he says that traditionally India has been a sustainable economy, and it is time in this modern world to get back to innovation and reinvent ourselves to be a more sustainable group, fraternity in the chemical space. India has a mix of large, medium and small companies. And while many of the companies, all the panelists over here are RC companies, responsible care companies, while many of us have embraced sustainability as an integral part of our system, many others also see it as a cost center. It is in this light that this conclave helps us to break down in granular manner that why sustainability will actually make economic sense. And it will be a pleasure to share and listen to the speakers over the next 2 days to understand insights into their own experiences on this journey of sustainability. Safety practices, responsible care initiative, climate change, and all of these are part of a sustainability journey. Today, all industries are measured by ESG, which is environment, social, and governance standards. And all of these things circle back to being sustainable. And all of these things is what we need to embrace completely and grow our companies from here on. I'm looking forward to listening to all our panelists today, and briefly I would like to introduce them to you before I leave the mic. We have Jay Hiramat, who is the founder and chairman of Hykel, a leading pharmaceutical chemical company and built on innovation and technology. We have Mr. Mukundan, who is the CEO of Tata Chemicals, and having joined Tata in 1990, he is an engineer from IIT and serves on executive committees of various industry forums, including CII and BCCI. Our own Mr. Suresh Ramchandran, who is the country head and director of Arkema India, is a chemical engineer and has been with Arkema for more than 25 years and handled multiple and diverse business portfolios. He has taken up the responsibility of spearheading as co-chair of our safety committee of ICC, and we see him completely immerse himself into the safety aspect for chemical industries, and we do look forward to hearing him. So today we have a true MNC in Arkema, we have a true Indian MNC in Tata Chemicals, and we have Hykel, who is one of the most respected and growing companies in the chemical and pharmaceutical sectors. So welcome, gentlemen. Thank you, Ravi, for being a co-chair and guiding this session to a great outcome of understanding the journeys of all of these companies and the challenges that they have faced during this journey. Thank you, gentlemen. Over to you.
Just to take 1 minute to put just one more context. I think Mr. Mukundan asked, in which focus area we have. If you could also tell us, there's one angle which is there. I was just reading and we have an Indian perspective. CEO speaks an Indian perspective. So there is often a misunderstanding or a misconception, or there is at least one question that we are in India, and sometimes so-called grand goals of sustainability are difficult to implement in India. So I think also if you could tell us a little bit, not necessarily to Indianize the version of sustainability, but at least, there are other companies who may not have the kind of resources that you guys have and have the intent. So how would we marry these two? If you could also give us a little insight on that, that will be great. Okay, thank you. Jay, please go ahead.
Thanks, Ravi. Two Ravis. So that's a bit unusual. I'll be a little specific. I think everybody will talk about the same thing on sustainability, what constitutes sustainability, etc. But, just I think before this, you said, please share our experiences, right? So I think we were thinking about sustainability for a long time. We wanted to have a sustainability report made out. We had a carbon footprinting done, but it really never took off because people in the organization didn't really believe in it and thought it's another fad of the CEO or the chairman. But during the this pandemic, I think we could get a lot of things done in the guise that, this is a question of survival, etc. And we need to be competitive, and to be competitive, you've got to be energy efficient, waste reduction, all the things that we talk about, which constitutes sustainability or environmental control. I think we could really implement that very fast, which would have taken us years and of effort and persuasion. As a company, of course, we've been doing a little bit of all these things, but I think this whole thing has greatly accelerated during this period. And we really are seeing results. I mean, it's just amazing how much it is adding to the EBITDA. We're talking of at least 2-3% addition to the EBITDA, which goes straight to the bottom line, So really, I would strongly recommend. One of the things you said is that what do we convey to others also? Please take it up very seriously because it does give results, and we've seen it in the past 6 months. So what we have done a year ago, nearly, we appointed a because this sustainability couldn't be done at the shop floor level because everybody was busy with their own thing, and nobody could, get the data ready and all these things to really gauge whether we were successful in this. So we've engaged a very senior person to head our sustainability initiative. So it's called Head of Sustainability and EHS. So I think we need an independent person and an organization who will look into this to see that, these things are implemented. Because people get bogged down in day-to-day operations. And again, as I said, this is also showing results. Now, another thing is that, you mentioned very briefly about ESG. That's another thing we're taking very seriously because if we are environmentally conscious, if we are socially conscious, and you have good corporate governance and other governance, which includes responsible care, etc., I think you build a very good culture in the organization. People are very looking forward to a good culture where they feel safe and they feel that they're contributing to the society. And this is really benefiting us in attracting good talent. And, even we have several interns who join our company. And surprisingly, though we're a small company, we virtually on the first day of the recruitment, we have opportunity to do the recruitment in the top universities like IIT and all these people. So I think this also brings a lot of good feeling and credibility amongst the companies, because people talk. I mean, it's not that we are just doing it for the compliance. So this is another benefit we have seen. And of course, we have global investors who are also looking now at companies which have this ESG practice. Before it was just sustainability. I think it's gone beyond that now. All these other factors also they're looking at. So really, I think there are a lot of benefits of being a sustainable company. Of course, what are the things we have done? You said some specific examples. We believe in green chemistry, right? We have started doing right at the R&D stage. We look at the waste loads. We look at the safety features, obviously, and many other factors. And we have started doing enzymatic chemistry, enzymatic catalysis, the biocatalysis. And we have very successfully produced a very major pharmaceutical item by enzymatic means. Green chemistry, which involves safer methods, less solvents, very little impurities. I mean, initially it was quite a risk that we took because the cost came higher, but now we've been able to reduce it. But what we find is that people who are customers who are very conscious of environment and even the minute impurities really value this. And we have seen a lot of traction and customers in Japan who have come forward and have embraced this product. And of course, Japan, you get a better price also. So, you said, what are the benefits? So this also is a benefit. So enzymatic chemistry, catalysis, which we implemented, we got the ICC award for innovation for this product. And I'm happy to tell you that this has been quite a success now. We're putting up a major plant to expand on the capacity. So green chemistry does have a lot of benefit in the long run. So, I don't want to go on to all the other things like, using solar power, and which we are tapping into those, and which I think most companies are doing, and waste reduction, which we also have a separate team now for just looking at that. And it's remarkable what you can achieve. And I think most companies have started doing this. And this importance of CSR also, to be sustainable, you got to be also, have a good relation with your neighbors around you. And so all our people are working very closely with the local people, environment, local villages, etc., to make a difference. And our people are very happy to be engaged in this. And again, I find that when we get new recruits, now we're getting a lot of young people in the company, and they all look for these sort of things, what sort of company is this? How socially conscious are they? What do they do? And so broadly, these are the things I think I just wanted to mention before, about what we are doing as far as sustainability is concerned. But some things I would like to mention, I don't know whether it's correct, but being with Ravi, I can take the liberty, Ravi Kapoor, because we talk a lot about this environmental stuff. I think government insisting that everybody having a zero discharge system is frankly very bad for carbon footprint. I mean, everywhere, even if you have a marine discharge, now we're finding that we have to have a zero discharge. It doesn't make any sense. You have a CTP, you have a marine discharge where the limits are pretty liberal. Why do you have to again spend on huge capex and operating expenses? And these are energy intensive, which is not exactly environmentally friendly. So I think somebody has to take this up and say, we are not doing this right, you know. And of course, it's adding to the cost, and we are not very competitive because of this. So these are some of the few opening remarks which I just wanted to make. Thanks.
Thank you, Jay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you very much. And we'll take question answers later, Ravi, right?
I think, yeah, maybe we can take it later. We get everyone in. So I am taking my notes. I think it's interesting to ask some questions and answer some of the questions raised. I mean, this session is a brainstorming, but I think we can do it later. So if we can get down to Mr. Mukundan, I think that would be
Great.
Thank you, Ravi and Ravi. I think thank you for inviting me to be part of this fantastic session. And it's always a pleasure to be listening to Mr. Jai Hiremath. He's been our inspirational leader in ICC, and we've all been guided by his principles. So clearly, I want to second his thoughts on sustainability. It is very important agenda, an important agenda not just from the angle of shareholders, also very important from the angle of other stakeholders like customers and employees. And the way we have looked at it is also to do exactly the same, that it's a leadership issue at the end of the day. I think if you want to lead in your sector, in your business, in addition to just being profitable, I think there is a very important element of also doing well in your impact on the planet, your impact on people, not just impact on the profit. And when you bring planet and people together, it sort of combines itself as a sustainability issue. And we have sort of woven it into our purpose, into the values, into our strategy. Our purpose is fundamentally to impact the society through science. And when you say impact, it is about positive impact. Our values, one important element of our value system is care. I think when you embrace the value of care, you have to take care of your environment, you have to take care of the community, and all these elements of sustainability comes in. And it has to be part of strategy. It cannot be one additional piece you do on a nice to do session wherein you sort of flag things off. It has to be integral. We have approached it from four broad angles. One is to say, how do we sort of let employees get in touch with this? So when we started our journey on climate change, it is a very big topic. People don't understand carbon, how carbon footprint, used to go to the factory and explain to people. Many understand, many don't get it. We broke it down exactly the way, as Mr. Jai Hiremath said, a simple thing which every engineer understands. Every engineer understands energy reduction. Every engineer understands what it means not to burn, let's say, carbon or coal, and how to use renewable energy. I think those things engineers understand. We broke it down to that as a key metric, and energy saving as a key metric in the initial years. Of course, then we did what we know as carbon champions in the company. We exposed people to this whole issue of climate change. So now it is pretty much part of the work which we do, and I'll come to that a little bit later in the sense
Can
that
I just briefly interrupt? Jai, could you just mute your mic? It'll help. Yeah. Thanks. Go ahead, please.
So, yeah. So I'll come to three pillars which is driving our approach today. The second element is to embrace customers into this equation. If you don't bring customers into sustainability, I think it won't make big progress. First employees, then customers. And I'm going to give you an example. For example, when we wanted to work on unplastic, how do you remove plastic from our packaging, we actually contacted our biggest customers who buy in bulk, whether we could rotate the same 1-ton packaging 3 times over rather than. So we first initially started with reuse. Now with many of our large customers, we have completely eliminated plastic by shipping our products in bulk, in bulkers. There was a big resistance in the sense that, we don't have unloading facilities, we don't have facilities to stock. So we have worked with customers to sort of make them part of the solution. And that has improved the stickiness, exactly what has been stated already. The customer stickiness improves, and they and now we get a bit of a premium with those customers because they believe that as a company, we are delivering value which is beyond just giving them the product. The third element is to have, I think, working with government on regulation. And here, I think I must commend ICC for doing great work including Ravi, you have led this work in terms of if we embrace responsible care as an element, what kind of regulatory benefit we can get in terms of increase the number of years of approval and all that. Those are elements of that. I can even go back to the period when chlor-caustic industry, when mercury was being used, it continues to be used around the world. Indian industry was the first one to completely come out of mercury cell by actually doing a voluntary movement to come out of that, and rather than driven by mandate. But many times these things are driven by mandate, and the importance of regulation is very important, but we must work with regulatory authorities to make sure that these impact in a holistic manner. And the last piece is about governance. Internally in the company as well as externally, you need to have a governance structure. I think we have a board committee which looks at this whole element. We also report these metrics in our annual report. We have no shame in saying that what is our carbon footprint, what is our safety rate, and our effort is to improve. Not to say this is the number this year, but how are we going to improve? Putting it all together, we have arrived at our sustainability agenda in three broad buckets. One is what we call as the climate change, the carbon issue, where actually we have signed up for science-based target. We are the first chemical company in India to have signed up, and our targets have been announced by SBTi. And we're probably the sixth chemical company in Asia itself to sign up. And we have a target to get to the science-based target, which is well below 2 degree centigrade impact by 2030. There is specific capital investment which has been cleared by the board. It is going to take its journey in the next 10 years. Beyond that, we are of course examining getting to net zero, and that's a commitment we will be making, and net zero by 2050. And I think India has already made a commitment to net zero by 2050, which means there will be net zero carbon emission by any industry. The tougher industries are cement and steel. Chemical industry is in a slightly better position on the carbon net zero. And all of us need to adopt this. And 3-4 directions we have done. For example, switching completely to gas from coal is one direction. Then using more renewable is another direction, which is solar and wind. But I think that's the direction we are all taking in terms of course, energy saving and all these elements are very important. The second pillar is circular economy. I think we used to call it waste, reuse, recycle, and all that. But now the term which is more often used is circular economy. Now we are imagining every business as part of the circular economy itself. So when we wanted to start off our new business in terms of energy storage chemistry, we actually started with battery recycling as our first pillar. So we are already recycling used batteries of laptops and mobile phones, even before we start, giving the chemicals and manufacturing the chemicals which go into storage batteries. So I think circular economy is something which we have embedded. Lastly is biodiversity. We are a coast-based company. Our entire life started in off the coast of Gujarat. So we have actually spent a lot of effort and time in terms of marine ecology. So we do projects on mangrove restoration, coral reef restoration. Our benchmark project has been on whale shark. Whale shark is like a species which is a bit like Project Tiger, and we have worked with the fishermen on the coast of Gujarat on biodiversity in terms of improving the whale shark population, and that has had a very knock-on effect in terms of marine ecology. So broadly, I would say three pillars. One is sustainability and carbon. Second is circular economy. Lastly, protecting biodiversity. And for us, it has been a blessing in disguise to work on sustainability because, we were a company born in Gujarat, and that too very arid part of Gujarat, right in the Okha Mandal near Dwarka. And there was no water there. So from inception, our company has been trained in terms of water conservation and those processes. So we have put in a layer of energy conservation on water conservation, and we built on top of that. So 4 broad principles: engage the employees, engage the customer, focus on regulation, and focus on governance. And 3 broad pillars, which is basically sustainability pillars, are around climate change, circular economy, and biodiversity. And the layer which runs all this, as rightfully Ravi, you mentioned at the beginning, it is a leadership issue. It is a purpose issue. It is a value issue. It is a strategy issue. Those are my opening remarks. Thank you. I'm delighted to be part of this session.
Thanks a lot. I think wonderful and very lucid, very succinct. So, it's very refreshing to get a clear idea. And I think also some of your initiatives are very impressive. So, I think a lot of questions that I have and some, suggestions also. I mean, rather that we would like some collaboration with ICC, would like that later. But Suresh, if you could, give us your thoughts.
Yeah, thanks, Ravi. Yeah, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you, ICC, for inviting me to this session. It's wonderful to share our thoughts on sustainability. Arkema being a French company, and we have presence in multiple countries. So one of our key roles is how do we adapt what we do in France, being the head office country, versus the rest of the world. But at Arkema, we have decided that we will have the same approach in all countries. Yes, surely there is going to be a local statutory regulation, local regulatory regulation, but as a standard, I think we will try to adopt a uniform standard. There have been gaps in the past. Our objective is to bridge these gaps. How do we view sustainability today in our company? Again, it's very clear. Our CEO drives it today. It's from the top, and for us, sustainability is actually, we tell every employee, it is both a duty and a necessity today. It's no longer just a simple obligation. It's a necessity. And what is driving this? It's actually the business which is driving it. It's our end customers who are driving this, and in turn, we are driving our suppliers. So Arkema, for example, was very closely associated with TFS, continues to be associated with TFS, which is Together for Sustainability, wherein we go back to our vendors that if they are going to supply to us, they have to be part of this TFS, and we are trying to evaluate them on a score on where they are on sustainability. So it starts with the vendors, then we have work to do at our end, and then we want to deliver a final product to the customer. So we are really looking at an end-to-end solution. At the same time, we are not looking at this only through risks and constraints, because there is a lot of risk. There is a very volatile world today, a dynamic environment changing. Many times it so happens that we do something today in a country and immediately it becomes obsolete by the time we transfer it to another country. So that's a big challenge sometimes we are facing in the sustainability issue. The world is changing very fast. And thanks to Corona, I think certain things are going to change faster, but for the better, we are also very clear that there are certain things which we have to do: reduction of carbon footprint, eco-design, biocircular economy, I think is the path forward. I think there is no way we can avoid that. And I think we are all headed towards a circular economy. And Arkema is actively working on that worldwide with our customers too. Do we see some challenges? Yes, there are clearly some challenges which we see. One is, how can we still be competitive by getting into sustainability? Because what is happening is today, the entire sector is not necessarily required to be sustainable. So there are some pockets where people are ahead. There are some pockets where people are behind, which means we are going to spend some money on CapEx. We are going to be one of the leaders in doing that. So it's possible at X point of time, we are not so competitive on our end products, but we still have to go through it. So that's a key challenge which we are facing today, how to still be competitive by still going through all those CapEx expenditures. This is the short-term approach. In the long term, one of the key challenges as we go forward would be to have better technologies on aspects like carbon neutrality, for example. I think we still need far better technologies. I think Europe, for example, by 2050 is talking of a complete carbon neutrality, for example. So I think having better technologies to achieve that is also going to be a challenge. And the third important challenge, which we would see everywhere, especially in Asia, is the culture of each employee. Because it's easy to have a policy statement, it's easy to have it on your annual report, but does it actually translate it to the employee on the shop floor, on your sales team? And this is what we are driving today at Arkema. that sustainability is not just a policy statement. It has to be implemented by the action of every employee in the company, not just at work, but also at home. And we are driving this very strongly, that even families are aware of this. The employee transfers these messages at home to their children, to their parents, that sustainability is today a necessity. And it's for the future of our children, for the future of our grandchildren, that we take care. But there is a big challenge when we face on this culture front. There are certain other things by which we have gone forward. Arkema, as a global leader, has again been part of responsible care. I think that's a great initiative by ICC as well to promote this in India. And I think this voluntary commitment by companies, I think, is a great step forward. And I think that's a key sustainable initiative from ICC on responsible care. And I hope all of us contribute this to this even more. Some advices to other companies, especially small and middle-term companies. I think one is organizing sharing of best practices amongst companies. I think that's going to be a key. I think sustainability should not be individualistic to a company. I think we learn something, we share it with the neighboring company, we share it with the society. And I think one good thing which has happened during this COVID times, I have seen how closely this chemical community is working together since April. The way, whether through ICC or other forums, we've all come together, we've shared safety practices, we've shared so many other good practices. And I think suddenly the chemical industry is not looking at each other as competitors, but they are looking at it as one common block. And I think sustainability will only succeed if we look at ourselves as belonging to a block and not as one company. I think so. That is one strong message which I would like to drive, that whatever we learn, we share it unabashedly with people, whomever we know. I think this, as a multinational, is also, I think, one of my obligations here. And I think I would encourage everybody to do this. Also, from the social point of view, operational safety is one key step towards sustainability. And I think focus on operational safety as we go forward, especially in the light of the recent past months, I think is going to be very, very important as part of sustainability. I think operational safety cannot be undermined. Another important thing about environment is reduce the generation of waste. I think this is a key topic which most companies are facing today. I've heard somebody also mentioning about emissions, zero discharge, and many things. So I think there are various ways of doing this, but whatever we do to minimize the waste, I think is going to be a key. And going to other smaller companies, my simple advice would be to have some very small but achievable goals to start with. I think that's important. Let's not aim for the moon to begin with. Let's have achievable targets. And I think it's going to be possible. And lastly, from Arkema side, I would like to especially mention about one initiative which we have done in India, which is a key sustainability initiative. Arkema is a big user of castor oil. And the castor oil is sourced from India and primarily comes from Gujarat. So in the last 3 to 4 years, we have started an initiative called Pragati. Pragati is a project between Arkema, BASF, Giant Agro, and Solidaridad, wherein we have started an initiative with castor farmers in Gujarat. We are trying to create something called a sustainable code, which will be the first code in castor oil, the first global code. Palm oil we call what is called RSPO, but castor oil never had a sustainable code. So we have initiated this move with the farmers. And what are we doing here? We are teaching the farmers some excellent techniques on soil management, nutrition management, wearing of PPE, waste management, and many other things. We have come 10 to 11 codes. I can hear some voice.
Suresh, go ahead.
Yeah. So we are very closely working with North Gujarat farmers right now. This is the 4th year of our project. And while it started with these 4 companies, we have now seen a very active interest from other users of castor oil-based polymers. Arkema itself makes a polymer called nylon 11. And because there has been a strong demand from end customers, including automotive customers, for this type of bio-based polymer, we have actually launched a new investment in Asia, in Singapore, to expand our capacity further. So this backward initiative with the farmers in Gujarat, I think, is a topic on which we are very actively engaged. I'm personally involved in this. In fact, I'm on my way to Gujarat again next week to work with some of the farmers there. So for a chemical company to be working with farmers on sustainability is something very unique, but we are very happy and proud to do that. And I must tell you, I'm extremely happy with the way that the farmers have in turn reacted with us. Very open-minded, very broad-minded, and have stepped in. And I think it cannot work alone from our side. It has to work both the ways. And of course, there will always be an economical sense also in this for the farmer, for other stakeholders. So it also makes economic sense. It's a very baby step which we have taken. There are millions of farmers, but we have approached thousands of farmers. But it's a small step. I think it will only grow from here. So that's one small example which I wanted to give from Arkema. That's it, Ravi, from my side.
Ravi ji, please, let's have some, we have the 3 speakers done. I have some questions, but if you have some remarks, then after that I can just take the question.
I think it has been amazing listening to all of them. And Jay having mentioned as to how he evolved himself even during the pandemic and evolved into a more sustainable company. We had Mukundan talking about the 4 ways of engagement, the 3 sustainable change of climate, circular, and biodiversity. And what was amazing to hear also was the roadmap that he has for 2030, 2050, which is something of a real eye-opener with specific measurable goals of carbon neutrality. It's amazing to hear all these things. And of course, to hear Suresh talk about what his company is doing for an end-to-end solution and about getting the entire farmer community involved in actually their pursuit of getting sustainable agriculture in place. I'm sure there will be questions over here, Ravi, but I'll leave it now to your safe hands to take and get the outcome from our members, our people, delegates who are hearing them, and answer to their questions and answers. Thank you, gentlemen. It's been a real pleasure and privilege.
Thank you, Ravi. So I think, we had an excellent 3 views. Jay probably represents a company or owns a company which is the smallest out of the 3. And he has a particular aspect and a view. And Mr. Mukundan, of course, is, running probably one of the largest chemical companies in India. And of course, we have Suresh, coming from the European aspect, as do I, but I come from a smaller company. So it's very interesting, these different aspects. Quickly to go to Jay, there is already a question. I'm going to mix a little bit. There is a question asking you how you say that carbon footprint would be increased with ZLD. And we are not going to answer question by question, but what we can do is have a general, view, because it may be useful. So Jay, if you want to take that or you want me to take that, I think I get exactly what you say. But since it was your statement.
No, what I said was that everybody doing zero discharge means you're investing huge amounts of money, spending a lot of energy to meet the standards or this waste. It's not exactly a carbon efficient method,
Yeah.
You're consuming a huge amount of energy, and you are doing a job which the government should be doing really. And we spend so much on CETPs. We pay for the CETPs, but yet we have been asked to do this. So I think it's totally not the right thing.
So Jay, if you allow me, So if you allow me to extend this is a subject ICC has taken up in our last sustainability conclave. we had I would use the word tirade from one of our experts on waste management, where the question is, what are you doing? You are taking water, you are evaporating it, you are taking all the CODs and other toxins, dioxins, etc., putting it into the sludge and then putting it into the ground, basically. Okay, that's number one. Number two is to evaporate the amount of energy that you put in. There is where comes your carbon footprint. That the logic of a chemical plant, being told to go ZLD. So there were very strong views, and we also have a consultant who's an ex-member secretary of CPCB who said this clearly. He said that it doesn't make any sense. So I completely agree with what you're saying. Chemical industry is going to use water as long as you use water in a responsible way. If you use it as a reuse, reduce, recycle, try to do your best. But finally, I think we'll have to come to a point where at least some water is going to be used. My company, for example, is putting up a ZLD, but we find that it makes sense only to recycle 1/3 of the water. So 1/3 of the water where the TDS is of a level where it is one thing viable, and we have a low temperature evaporation technology which has just come up. It's a new technology where there's going to be a presentation tomorrow on this. And in that sense, I think it's a good story. But Jay, just to come back, if you have one piece of advice to young CEOs on how to really approach the policy or their outlook onto a sustainable practices, what would that be?
What is it? What advice for what?
I would say just for young CEOs who are coming up, for example, your own son. I mean, I'm interacting with Samir as well. But I would, even others like him who are going to take the next gen, going to take into companies. Ravi's son is there. There are family-based companies. There are young CEOs who are professionals. What would be the basic advice? If there was one advice you would have to give to them, what would that be?
I think right in the beginning that makes eminent economic sense. It's it makes sense for business. And you have to do it. I mean, even the Prime Minister has said that, right? So what else can you have? I mean, we have seen the results. If you follow all these sustainable practices, your cost of production goes off. You feel good about it. There's a lot of satisfaction. Your employees feel good. Your neighbors feel good. Your shareholders feel good. It's a total feel-good factor and a business factor. Your profitability improves. Your shareholders get even happier. I think there's no question now that we have to embrace it.
Yeah, no, I agree, Jay. So I think the take final from your the summary is what would be great at a future date if we are always wanting some case studies, because people are a little cynical when you say you drop 2-3 EBITDA points. They say, okay, how do you do that, or increase 2-3 EBITDA points? Specifically, how do you do it? And if companies can share, like Suresh said, without conflict of interest position, I think that would be great at some future seminar, that we have specific cases saying that, this is how we reduce energy and this is what we got out. For example, I have now a chart in front of me where I've got now 3 windmills, and we've actually bought the kilowatt hour, both consumption down separately, but also the price of the kilowatt hour has come down by 30%. So, I mean, these are specific cases where you can put numbers.
Sure. I mean, you said Samir is now the co-chairman of this sustain.
Yeah,
the ideal person to tell you. Yeah.
Great. Okay, thanks, Jay. If I can come to Mr. Mukundan, I think very, very, as I said, very lucid, very specific, on, so we are not talking general. I think all the points are very clear. One thing that we would like at ICC to inform you and cooperate with your company and with you. I don't know if you know, but we have gotten relatively deep into, greenhouse gas measurement systems, because this is a complex subject. And we have tied up with the International Chemical Council Association. And we have the Japanese who are now, getting involved with this. They are among the best in this very complex calculation. We already had one seminar that we have done. And I didn't know that you guys are already advanced in this. So this is one of the good takeaways. If we could cooperate on, getting your guys in your company to tie up with Dr. Pranav Tripathi is, I think, on this line. That would be great if you agree. That would be, one comment, I would say, generally.
Absolutely delighted, Ravi. I think as has been highlighted, See, this entire area of sustainability is not a one company agenda. We cannot do it alone. It is not a government agenda. It is actually an entire ecosystem agenda. We have to move on it together. And I think the whole idea of working together, leading this together jointly is very important. And whatever it takes to work with various initiatives which industry associations are taking, various elements of, I would say, various companies are taking. I just want to say that our journey on sustainability started with one of our customers who insisted that this was very critical because they have signed up. Same way, we had a lot of inputs in the initial days coming from a major energy major who sort of supported us in terms of our efforts in terms of sustainability. So we will be very happy to cooperate, learn, and contribute. So always there to support. And within the sustainability committee, I'm happy to nominate our senior leadership team to be there and make sure that we have osmosis. I call it osmosis because I think it has to go from one company to another, and it has to flow in and flow out. And of course, it has to be tailor-made for everyone. I fully agree. For example, having the same kind of system process for a company which is near a coast versus a company which is near a river versus a company which is not near any water body will be very, very different. Similarly, a company which is in terms of size and scale, in terms of impact, I think we will tailor make all this. And I think our approach will be to work, delighted to work with ICC on this, and happy to take this forward. In fact, we have benefited largely from ICC's initial movement. If you recall, about 15, 16 years ago, when responsible care was being talked about in ICC and not many signatories were coming on, few of us initially signed up because we thought it was the right thing to do. And in a way, I think this entire sustainability piece is an extension of the responsible care movement, which we have pushed forward in ICC. I think we have to say this is nothing new. We have pushed the agenda on responsible care. This is just making it more focused, and we need to work on that together. So absolutely clear, Ravi. And I think you've also been on the forefront of pushing the responsible care agenda to deliver benefit to companies. In terms of approvals, regulations, I think we have to get that moving in that direction.
Yeah, I'd like to remind you of our trip to Goa and how things have changed since then. We had a RCLG, just for everybody's information, and I think we were there, and we found a very nasty environment in those days, which I'm happy to report has a sea change. It's a 360-degree change. The international community completely now understands that we are very serious and ICC is serious. That has been a big change from those days when it was, I would say, not a very nice experience that we had in Goa. And then, Jay, if you remember, also in Japan was not the best of experience.
Also, Ravi, sorry, I just want to also add one thing we miss out. India is home to 30% of biodiversity species. We have richer biodiversity than Europe. We have richer biodiversity than in any other part of the world, despite having pressure of higher human population, despite having pressure of very high level of industrialization which is going on. So I think what India has achieved is by no means is a small feat. It's a fantastic, but we must progress in that direction. So I agree with you. All of us have gotten together and got it to this level, and we have a commitment that we should move forward. And these little foundations we have laid down are actually going to play out in the long run for all of us.
I think it's very, very encouraging, and I think it's great. And I think also maybe a presentation when we get your top leadership on your whale shark initiative and your coral reef initiative. I think that would be great for one of the executive committee meetings, Ravi. That we have a 20-minute presentation on something which is not directly related to chemical industry but motivates all of us. So,
Gentlemen, I'd like to
happy to
break the conversation here because we have President of ICCA of ACC, Chris John, and then we have Jim Fitterling, Chairman and CEO of DO in the next 10 minutes. But thank you very much for your engagement. Thank you very much for your thoughts and your journeys. And we take back home a lot of things, and we look forward to engaging further on this subject, ICC. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thanks, Ravi.